Today, Belfast's streets pulse with life, its walls adorned with both historic murals and modern art. But beneath this vibrant surface lies a complex history of a conflict that tore apart Northern Ireland for 3 decades. The story of the Troubles isn't simply about Catholics versus Protestants. It's about identity, citizenship, and the fundamental question of who governs whom. To understand the Troubles, we must first return to 1968, when Northern Ireland was already divided along sectarian lines, but the violence that would define a generation had yet to begin. In the late 1960s, inspired by the American Civil Rights Movement, Catholic nationalists began protesting against discrimination in housing, employment, and voting rights. What started as peaceful demonstrations would soon spiral into something far more dangerous. This Catholic minority, making up about 30% of Northern Ireland's population, faced systematic discrimination. They couldn't vote in local elections unless they owned property, couldn't access certain jobs, and often lived in overcrowded conditions. In August 1969, tensions erupted in Derry's Bogside district. What began as a traditional Protestant parade devolved into a 3-day riot that would mark the beginning of the Troubles. The British government deployed troops to restore order. Initially welcomed by Catholics as protectors, the military presence would soon become a source of deeper conflict. January 30th, 1972, Bloody Sunday. British paratroopers opened fire on civil rights marchers in Derry, killing 14 unarmed civilians. This single event became a recruiting tool for the IRA and escalated the conflict dramatically. Throughout the 1970s, violence became a daily reality. The Provisional IRA's bombing campaign targeted both military and civilian targets in Northern Ireland and England. Loyalist paramilitaries responded with their own campaign of violence. Every morning you'd wake up wondering not if something would happen, but where and how bad it would be. The city was like a powder keg. 1981 marked another turning point. Republican prisoners, led by Bobby Sands, began a hunger strike demanding political prisoner status. Sands's death after 66 days, followed by 9 others, galvanized the Republican movement and brought international attention to Northern Ireland. By the 1990s, both sides began to realize that military victory was impossible. Secret negotiations, facilitated by figures like John Hume and international mediators, laid the groundwork for peace. On April 10, 1998, the Good Friday Agreement was signed. This historic document established a power-sharing government and created mechanisms for cross-community cooperation. Today, Northern Ireland is transformed. Peace walls still stand, but they're increasingly covered in artwork rather than political slogans. Yet the past isn't forgotten. It's being rewritten into a shared history. My parents lived through the Troubles. I live in peace. But understanding what happened helps us ensure it never happens again. The story of the Troubles is not just about conflict. It's about how communities can move from violence to peace, from division to cooperation. It's a lesson in how the seemingly impossible becomes possible when people choose dialogue over violence.